If you're in commerce stream, the options you have is, yes, my son is commerce, let him go for CA. Or CMA India, earlier it was known as ICAA. Or there is something called company secretary. Or if they think beyond that, they say that, okay, let him complete BCom, BBM, let him go for MBA. The sad part is here, if you look at CA, the overall passing percentages, it between 5 to 10% overall, which means 90% of the student doesn't go to the other side. If you are committed to study yourself for 14-15 hours, then it is recommended you go for it. If you are ready, if you want to have Instagram, you want to watch IPL, and then along with that you want to do CA, sorry, that's not your cup of tea. No doubt CA is one of the champion courses in India, the kind of recognition and respect what you get. But unless you are not committed to that, it's better not
Makes
to go.
sense. If there's one thing I absolutely hated during my college days, that would be the subject of finance and mathematics. If my finance teacher walked in, I already assumed I would have had a terrible day. Ladies and gentlemen, today I have with me a person who just does not know about the financial world, but educates India's youth about the same. I have with me Vinod Chandran, the CEO of the company MyLogic. He's also an alumni of IIM Lucknow. He's had his stint for over a decade with corporates, and today let's decode his journey and understand what it takes to truly pursue a wonderful career in finance. Welcome Vinod Chandran sir, and welcome to my show. How does it feel to be here?
Yeah, great. Looking excited and happy to share my experiences and journey through the world of finance.
Superb. Sir, first of all, like you heard my introduction, I was one kid who never liked the financial world because I had my own problems with it. But you as a person, when I saw your LinkedIn profile, I also saw that you have a CA degree. Then you also worked with IIM Lucknow. Can you tell me, was it like a very tough thing for you to get into this chartered accountancy field and then do an IIM, or was it something that you enjoyed?
Right, Lalit. So this is not something, I would say nothing has been so pre-planned in my life.
Okay.
So maybe if I go back 20 years, 25 years back, I was a professional cricketer.
Oh, wow.
Playing for Cochin Refineries, based out of Kerala.
Okay. So it's a club.
Yeah, I mean, it is like, Rahul Dravid used to play for Hindustan Aeronautics Limited.
Got it,
so
got
I was
it.
playing a professional cricket for Cochin Refineries. I was probable to Ranji Trophy when I was, I have to make a choice, So that's the time when graduation gets over. You have to make a choice. Either you go full-fledged cricket or you move into world of further education. Probably those days, unlike this time, you have so much of IPL and opportunities. Those days, we didn't have much of opportunity. The only place where you get employed, if you're a cricketer, was State Bank of Travancore, SPT, in Kerala.
Okay.
So otherwise, you have to go to Chennai and stuff like that. So instantly, so I have to make a choice, and probably, the destiny was directing towards CA was the only option in front of me.
Okay.
I was reasonably okay in academics, not a great conceptually or clear student, but decent marks in academics, so which drive me or directed me towards chartered accountancy. So that was a tough call to make. I have many situations in life I have to take tougher calls.
Okay. I have a question before you go ahead.
Sure.
Now, after 20 years of some success, do you feel like would you go back and change that situation, or would you still go ahead and play cricket, or would you still continue in this path?
No, 100%. Whatever choices made, I stick to that. Thank God. I'm a strong follower of, or try to be a follower of God. So I think I got the right direction at the right moment. Probably given a choice, I would still enjoy playing cricket, but not, those days this was the right choice.
Makes
came
sense.
up. Yeah. That was a good question. So the journey starts with that. Post-graduation, moved into chartered accountancy. Again, the toughness starts there, where you are playing cricket for 10, 12 years, you are playing cricket. You are not conceptually clear on many of the topics, and you are taking one of the toughest courses of India.
True, very true.
So it was not an easy journey, and I've been thankful to many,
People?
who are my relatives, senior relatives of me, who helped me to reach out to Mumbai.
Okay.
So those days, chartered accountants have only two choices when it comes to further studies. Either people prefer to go to Chennai. When a student come from Kerala, they prefer to go to Chennai or Mumbai. So thanks that I got some support, I moved to Mumbai. I did my CA from Mumbai. I would say 90% of CA from Mumbai. That really was instrumental because the kind of, not just the academics part, but beyond that, a different perspective of life
Correct.
came up when we struggled in Mumbai for 4 to 5 years.
I feel Mumbai is like a gym, no? Like if you go in there, it'll bash you up nicely, but it'll make you very fit for the world out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as they say, if you survive in Mumbai for 5 years, you can be part of any part of the world. And I seriously believe in that. The kind of the struggle and the experience you go through. Probably struggle may be a wrong word. The experience you go through Mumbai mold you as an individual and professional, and that really helps you out to shape your future professional journey.
Makes sense.
So that was very experience part of my life. And post that qualification, so thankfully, a lot of efforts, have to go through CA. As I mentioned, not a pre-planned CA student. So these days, students plan at the age of, very young age. They think that, okay, I want to become a chartered accountant, and institute itself have +2, they can do it. So that's how probably, the challenges were there. But thank God could get into the other side of it. Then any student, any aspirant who want to grow, and near to Kerala, the best hub is India's Silicon Valley, Bangalore. Okay.
Yeah.
So I got campus placement, and I came to Bangalore. I started with Hindustan Aeronautics Limited.
As what, sir?
I joined as a management trainee.
Okay.
That is again very exciting because management, in HAL, the policy is that you take as management trainee and you grow up to chairman or director. So they mold you from very young age.
So there's a good leadership ecosystem.
Absolutely. So they have 1 year training for management trainees, and then there is a bond period of 5 years.
Okay.
So it goes on that way, but and again, the kind of exposure what I get in HAL was enormous. Okay. People sometimes say, okay, public sector undertaking, the kind of exposure very limited. But
Correct.
if your person want to learn more, then HAL is one of those places.
Sir, so one of the things that I've understood about Mumbai, in fact, I just came back from Mumbai day before yesterday.
Right.
And for me as well, it's a very different experience, and especially if you want to get into entrepreneurship, business, you actually sink in very well with Mumbai, right? Like the people, the environment, actually, you don't have to work hard. If you're in Mumbai, you automatically work hard anyway. So I just want a few instances from your Mumbai journey, because you said you were an average student, and this for me is very fascinating. According to me, all the toppers in my family, toppers in my friends circle only do CA. But you were an average or an above average student. How did you cope staying in Mumbai, which was hard, and doing a hard course like CA? Like, tell me a little bit about how this happened.
Oh, I can speak for hours on this, Lalit. But if I could quote few of the, the experiences, one is, particularly in CA, one of the groups I was literally struggling, And in CA, as you know, it's a group system. If you miss, there were situations you missed by 3 marks, you have to write the entire paper, okay? You are all alone in Mumbai, your family is in Kerala, so emotionally you are down.
True.
Then financially, so I come from a very average family, well-to-do family, but not father getting retired, and the challenges are enormous, sister getting aged, and so all the challenges you can say for a average young guy, I have gone through it. But the few instances like the paper, which I was mentioning, I was not able to crack. So there was a situation, I may have to take a call, okay, this is probably the last attempt I will be able to dedicate myself for CA, and I have to crack, okay. If I didn't crack it, probably the situation I may have to get into some job concurrently. Okay. And the moment you get into a job, then focus on studies will go down.
Sure.
So probably there was a situation, I was studying probably for 2.5 months continuously for 15 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
Nothing
That's a
else
lot of
in
hard
life.
work.
Absolutely. I mean, probably, a CA student will be very familiar with this, but not exaggerating, it is 2.5 months, 15 hours, continuous, nothing else. There are instances where, one of the nanny who used to serve me food earlier, who has passed away. I have to, emotionally slow down, but I have to take a call. I withdraw. I just go on and see her last rituals and come back, continue the studies. Because if I to that extent, I have to sacrifice because
a lot
if-
of personal sacrifice.
Absolutely. So I do not have the choice to miss that attempt. If I miss that attempt, then the career may drive in different direction. It was very tough. You are on one side emotionally down. You're financially not secured. You're dependent on a retired father. That's the kind of situation. And you have to crack that. And the only thing what in front of me was the hard work. I put sincerely my all efforts, and thank God that attempt helped me to get
Oh,
past
so you
with
cracked it in that attempt?
Yes. I cracked it in that attempt. And then, then it was into the final stages of Inter, then finals, one after another, I could crack it. So those were the situations, the tougher situations comes mold you. So
Correct.
that was one of those situations where I have to literally face it. There are, if you Mumbai, you feel, there are libraries in Mumbai 24 hours open. You sleep in libraries, so
really?
there are, yeah. So in Colaba, very exciting experiences where in Colaba, there is a library for CA. Last 1 month,
wow.
it is open 24 hours.
Okay.
And students, I have slept many days there. One of the exams I go, having bath from there and go. So those kind of, it is CA's life is very unique. So
Unique, yeah.
last day I was talking to another senior CA. So the one thing who, if you given a choice, you take a risk again. She said, I don't want to do CA again because I'm not sure whether I will crack it. That's the answer I got from one of the senior CA, which is very correct. See, any person come to the other side, there is an empathy for people who could not qualify.
Correct.
It's not that I am great or the other was, it's just a lot of factors, I would say.
Yeah, so maybe they did not have the bandwidth of money to support themselves. Like maybe family was a little lower in finances and they had to drop and contribute to the family's things. And there are a lot of things like this. Sir, so that's fantastic. You got into your corporate. And speaking of which, once you start working in a corporate, today you have come to a point where you've started your own company.
Correct.
What are some of the experiences that you feel has benefited you from corporate that you are using here? Because a lot of students who are watching this think that the moment they graduate, they can start a business.
Correct.
And I have been one such fellow, right? Like I did not try going for a corporate experience, but today after starting a business, I realized that there's so many mistakes that I would have learned elsewhere.
Correct.
So what is your takeaway from the corporate world that you are adding to your business world now?
Very good point, Lilith, you made. See, one thing, when you work in leading corporates like HAL or Capgemini, I had the opportunity, very exciting opportunities. You see some of the helicopters, army helicopters, ALH or LCH, LUH. I was part of the pricing team of, who discussed with Ministry of Defense. So, what molds you is when the way it looks like, if you can price a product like helicopter, you can do it for any other because it's one of the most complicated,
True,
It's
100%.
So those kind of experience really mold you when you grow as a professional. So post that I moved to Capgemini, I was completely different experience. I was handling around 4 regions, Latin America, China, Asia Pacific, India, for one of their largest account, the entire commercial finance.
Wow.
It was again a completely different role, but very exciting and challenging. And it is not easy from a public sector undertaking to a very dynamic environment like Capgemini. It's very, very dynamic environment. So what happens in these journeys? One is the organizational experience, what you earn out of it. The culture, what you learn out of it. When you work in a multinational company like Capgemini, the etiquettes, what you learn, the way you interact with your customer, how you deal a particular situation, the kind of pressure handling, how you handle.
What is one takeaway that you can tell me that you learned in HAL and one takeaway from Capgemini?
See, in HAL, some of the price negotiations, if I could recollect, because I was taking a lot of responsibilities when it comes to, you have the choice. If you want to take more responsibility, you have. So when you go deeper into it and get those some of the the projects, I got the opportunity to handle larger projects, as I mentioned, which is of 2,000 crores, 3,000 crores. When you handle those kind of, you are accountable for what you kind of, the numbers you put, because you cannot reverse. And the number you quote, as you progress, the next level will not be able to go deeper into it.
Correct.
So the numbers what you drive, it goes up to the chairman, board of directors, then to the ministry, at a different level. So we have to own those what we do at the
Correct,
base level.
correct.
So I was at a managerial level, and those kind of ownership, the challenge what you have to take it. Some of the files you sign, you have to take ownership. You hear about a lot of C&AG audits, and I'm the files which I sign are subject to 5 audits. So
wow.
you have to take ownership for what you sign.
Wow.
That is some of the and it's like you are taking ownership at a very higher levels of risk. Okay,
Makes sense.
and those are you help you to take it in a very time phased manner. And when you do some of those projects, that was really helps you to take ownership. I would say
Responsibility, and that responsibility also builds your risk appetite,
Absolutely.
right? Like now you're talking about 3,000 crores, and when you're signing that, you better be responsible and do double checks, triple checks, because there are higher authorities that are there. Makes sense, sir. So what about Capgemini?
Capgemini is always about the time pressure. Okay, so I would say it is like a completely opposite to HL. I would say HL still you have a very breathing space, and of course I was into a project team, but still you have your comfort pace is available. When it comes to Capgemini, it is all about how you manage within a particular time things, and the responsibility of a larger geography. Again, there is your accountability. You are accountable. So there was one particular instance I remember wherein one of our client has engaged one auditor. Okay. So one of the clauses of those contractors, if you come across any errors in whatever you are supposed to have it's $1 million you have to pay back. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. So that's a kind of €1 million, in fact. Okay. So that is one of the clauses of the audit. It is part of the contract.
Okay.
So which effectively means that when you do the process, you or your team cannot afford to make a margin of error. There is a particular, I think 1% or something, they mentioned a clause. So what happens is the kind of work you do is subject to an audit, and if you or your team makes a difference, so and so percentage will go back to client, plus the audit fee. The kind of risk what you take there is, the organization can shake. Okay, but thankfully we managed. I was telling one of my friend recently, a particular audit which run for 2.5 months. It was like an investigating audit. You get into the skin of everything. And it took me 2.5 months with around 700 plus emails. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Just for that. But thankfully we finally, we went up very successfully, and the team was very happy. And it shows the kind of, not just an individual, the kind of professionalism as a team or the organization, earns out of it. And that really was the carry away for future endeavors as well.
Like you're talking about the systems that are there.
Absolutely, right? Processes and systems. So you will not end up in making errors because you have so much of controls in place. You have so much of cross checks in place, and yes, ultimately the ownership at each level they take, and the team bonding. I have seen the kind of pressure I was going through at the senior most VP level. Coming and tapping behind you. Yes, don't worry. We are there. Those kind of teamwork, it just harmonized.
So I'm sure these experiences have built into something beautiful, and today you started your own company. Sir, I want to know, what was the vision, what was the motivation to move into a completely different sector? Because now once you were at HAL, now you're at Capgemini again, which is a big massive company across the globe. What was that turning point towards saying, okay, now I look at something that I want to do?
Correct. Lalit, actually, while I was in corporates also, education was part of my, I would say part of my blood.
Okay.
Ever since CA completed also, I was in doing freelance and different models. Education was always there. Online classes. Online is not new to me, connected with COVID. Before that, I used to support a lot of students from Middle East. So it was always part of the game. The difference probably, it started happening, we identify what exactly we do, what we want to do, that question always, everyone, as you mentioned, we try to identify what is our objective of life, so when we start introspecting that again and again, one thing we realize that probably, I could do a lot more rather than working in a corporate. The moment I was quitting Capgemini, I was getting into the directorship role.
Oh, wow.
And I, post that there for a shorter tenure, I have taken COP, Certificate of Practice, which I surrendered. Because I realized that probably what I was, when I look back 20 years back, when in a situation wherein I moved for doing CA, I moved to, Mumbai to do it. Those days, even today, students go for Chennai or Mumbai to do CA. So probably, if you look at, there are many other professional programs like CMA US, CPA, ACCA, those many courses. Students across the globe, I am not saying specific to India, students across the globe today do not have a specific single platform wherein they get a constant support. Okay. Probably that is where the vision started coming up, which made me to take aggressive step to ensure that, okay, I'm on the right track. And with a single-minded focus that students across the globe, we should be able to support through our edtech platform. Again, edtech was not something which was envisaged from beginning. 2019, when I taken a call to move ahead as a completely edupreneur, probably the idea was probably we start in a physical model and franchisees across and stuff like that. Though online was always part of the game, but what I noticed is 2020 COVID was an instrumental. We created a platform for ourselves wherein students, anybody in across the globe, for any of these international programs, I'll touch upon this international platform, international programs a little more. Students from any part of the world will be able to log into MyLogic's edtech platform. They will be able to watch live classes or the self-learning platform. They can practice the question, they can take the mock exam, they can view the materials. If there is any doubts coming across, they can concurrently talk to the faculties. So which effectively means, alternatively, a student in US or different parts of the world, what they do is they buy one study material, or if there is any regional institutions that they study from minimum hours, instead of that, they just depend upon that. Instead of that, here we are discussing about a platform wherein continuous hours, some of the programs like CMA, I would say 300 hours of classes, CPA 500 hours of classes. After classes, you can watch the recordings, practice the question. Any doubts coming across, you can connect from there to the tutor directly through Skype,
the
app itself. Okay? So what happens is, the geographies becomes not a constraint at all.
Correct.
You are doing everything in real time.
Correct. And that is the advantage of having tech.
Absolutely, correct. So we have completely integrated that, and that has really made a change, I would say. Today we have students started coming from different parts of Europe, handpicked numbers from US, Middle East, substantial number of students through our platform.
That's very nice.
Different parts of India. So all these things which ensures that, we are in the very initial stages, but the momentum is happening such that this will help that in times to come, we will be able to service a larger group of students who are passionate to become professionals.
Makes sense.
Which probably I had to travel 1,000 kilometers to study that. Today, I have students from Mumbai sitting comfortably at their home, midnight. One of our sessions is 9:30 p.m. to 11:30.
Oh, wow.
So they study that comfortably from the home. Next day they watch the recording. They have all comforts, and we provide the best standards for education, which ensures that they qualify in the first attempt. Good results also being maintained, 60 to 70% result consistently. So I would say it is as our tagline for MyLogic says, we intend to transform career. That is what exactly we are into. And probably I would not say it is not just our education model, but there are a lot of supporting factors attached to it. Okay, probably COVID was one of the instrumental factors where people started looking more of online.
Digital,
so that is, of course, that is when it comes to India. Internationally, students still prefer online or their own comforts. Then other factor is the presence that we are based out of Bangalore. So students from different parts of the country prefer to come to Bangalore or prefer to do through us because post their qualification also the opportunities what they have in Bangalore. That touch upon our corporate tie-ups also. Thankfully in last 1 year we could tie up with corporates like Infosys, Capgemini, Wipro.
What do you do in these types, sir?
Trainings. We are into multiple training models. With Infosys, not the professional training. What Infosys requires, from a functional area, what are the requirements they have. We have our competent team available to take up and provide that. We call it on a model of train and hire.
Okay.
So a lot of young graduates today, they wanted to get into companies like Infosys. We stand as a bridge. We provide various training, what is required for Infosys in a short span, and Infosys comes and hire them.
So
Same model.
basically, this is like a virtual college. You're giving teachers, you're giving access, and not just knowledge and material, but also the success story of actually putting you in the right kind of job if required. Now, sir, I have a couple of questions based on your courses.
Yep.
Number one, I've realized that in commerce, at least parents today think that CA and such courses are the only ones that can break a career. And I'm going to ask this question to a person who's actually done it and been there. My question to you is, do you think out of all these people who are coming to these courses, I personally feel that CMA or CA is not meant for everybody. What is your take on that?
Oh, I'm happy that you asked this question, Lalit, because see, even today, the conventional mindset of that average parent. If you're in commerce stream, the options you have is, yes, my son is commerce, let him go for CA. Or CMA India, earlier it was known as ICAA. Or there is something called company secretary. Or if they think beyond that, they say that, okay, let him complete BCom, BBM, let him go for MBA. The sad part is here, if you look at CA, the overall passing percentages, it between 5 to 10% overall, which means 90% of the student doesn't go to the other side of it. I'm not being negative about it, but I'm being preventive about it, because
makes sense, right? It's logic what you're speaking.
And most importantly, if you're committed to study yourself for 14-15 hours, then it is recommended you go for it. If you're ready, if you want to have Instagram, you want to watch IPL, and then along with that you want to do CA, sorry, that's not your cup of tea. You need to be in a tabas mode. Same applies to the other two courses. Now, thankfully, what happened, there are professional programs like CMA US, CPA US, ACCA, like that FRM, CFP, like that we provide around 12 programs, MyLogic provides. So these programs, what happens is, today a company based out of Bangalore, let's say IBM, HP or Accenture, all these US based companies, they have their headquarters in US. They will have a quarterly reporting, they have to report back to headquarters. They will have a US GAAP compliances, they may have a SOX compliances. All these require specialized skills which a US based education provides. Earlier days, what they used to do is, they used to hire a CA or place a CA, recruit a CA, and then provide training on this, and they report it. Today, they are looking for whether I will get a CPA, whether I will get a CMA US. Advantage is that the moment you hire them, two advantages. One is the work of an overseas client being done by their own country's professional. When you are negotiating with a client in US, basically these works are outsourced into India. And when you look at that, these work is undertaken by a professional in US. That makes a lot of difference. Second is, from a student perspective also, a program like CPA, today it takes only 4 papers to complete. Oh. And the moment you can complete in a span of 1 year. And it is not as challenging as many of the other professional programs. A program like CMA, you can complete just with 2 papers. See, MyLogic is able to place students, I would say freshers, almost at around 5 lakhs average package, I would say freshers.
Okay, per annum, this
per
is starting.
Per annum 5 lakhs average package. There are cases where 7.5 lakhs per annum starting. I'm saying about a fresher CMA qualified, which is, I would say, 3 times what a BCom gets in Bangalore. An average BCom who gets 3 times. Also the grade levels. If you're a BCom, you get into grade 1. Here you get into grade 4. I'm saying about companies like Capgemini, including.
Got it.
So that is the difference, and you don't have to, you are not going through an uncertainty of time. You are not risked with in that 90% category, whether you will qualify to this or that. Of course, no doubt CA is one of the champion courses in India, the kind of recognition and respect what you get. But unless you are not committed to that, it's better not to go. So you think of programs like CMA, CPA, CFP, FRM, these programs will help you to stabilize a career. What more you require? You get a good start to your career. You are termed as CMA or CPA along with your name. You start your career. Every time you are treated as a professional.
Correct.
You are growing as a professional. So that makes a lot of difference, and thanks to globalization, I would say that is the base with which we could discuss that today.
Yeah. If not, there would be no use for it at all.
Absolutely. So today you name any company, in if I say, any leading corporates, they will have a branch in India, particularly in Bangalore. And trust me, if Bangalore is locked down for a day, there will be impacts in NASDAQ. That is the kind of impact Bangalore have. That is the reason why, most of the US Senate meeting, why Bangalore being quoted. To that extent, why Indian, based, the professionals become CEO of Fortune 500 companies, because it's all being molded from this. And in India, Bangalore is the Silicon Valley of India. So that's the way we need to look at it.
Makes sense, sir. So now going into this, whatever you just told me, now learning your financial skill from the CA, CPA, CMA, whatever the course is not enough, I believe. Right? It's the base. It's the foundation that you're putting. That's a hard skill that you've learned.
Correct.
What, according to you, are some of the other skills that these students must also look at and open their mind to learning to progress further in this journey? And give me specific skill sets.
Correct. Again, glad that you asked this question, because these are all very vital information where anybody, any professional aspirant has to understand. See, you can earn a professional qualification if you are focused, work hard, and conceptually clear. But to get into a corporate, only professional qualification is not enough. You need to be corporate ready. Okay, so in the sense, your communications, you have to be accepted in corporates with your communication skills. You should be, I would say we will call it as corporate etiquettes, what you need to learn. It starts from the basic communications, how you interact with your colleagues, how you, front end a customer, all these things are very important. And in fact, in our curriculum, we integrate all these things as a part of it, because because it is very important that it is not just about the academic part of it. We need to ensure that they are corporate ready also. So from that perspective, we take care of it. So we mold the curriculum such that we integrate a lot of soft skills, we can call it, along with it, which ensures that they have the base level, the skills required to, in fact, I want to quote one real-time incident as well. I think in a year, 1.5 years back probably, one of the candidates from one of the very rural villages of Andhra, Kattappa district, has come with it. I had my concerns, when you see a student who is not in communication reasonably, And after the curriculum, he qualified in first attempt and with the soft skills and other stuff. And also Bangalore make them mold by themselves, Today he works in company named ABB, one of the Fortune 500, with almost a package of 7.5 lakh. So it was like a transformation of his career in a span of 1.5 years with a professional qualification along with the soft skills and other stuffs. So that is a change which has happened. So like that, many cases.
Makes sense, sir. And today, if you don't learn those additional skills, you really cannot stand out, or you really cannot progress further in your career.
Absolutely, very correct.
Now, let's look at these courses again. What is the highest threshold that an individual can reach if this course is done? Like, yes, entry level package is high, that is the start. Where do you see the potential end? Where is the cherry on the cake?
Right. See, any of these courses which I mentioned is considered at par with Indian professional courses like Chartered Accountancy or CMA India and so on. So naturally their growth moved up to a level of director of finance, CFO, to that level, which is reason is they are professionally educated, they have the knowledge as well as the skill set, and also they hold those, that professional qualification. When we say something like CPA, which is an equivalent of Chartered Accountancy in US, so that's the level of achievement CMA, equivalent of CMA India in US. So they become professional and they could easily over a period of 20 years get up to a director of finance or CFO levels. And in multinational companies.
I mean, that means it opens up so many doorways that no other course or programs would actually do that.
In fact, that is something, these days parents also need to think about it, because see, I see, if I talk to 10 parents, I get a response out of which 5, okay, I need to do MBA. I need to send my son for MBA. But the unfortunate part, even the National Chamber of Commerce statistics, if you see, 93% of the MBAs are unemployed today. I'm saying about the second layer of MBAs. If you want to do MBA, you do it from the top grade.
I am
top ISBs or the top B schools, which ensures that your career is secure. You have to write CAT, MAT, or, I'm saying about the top layer. I'm not saying only the IIMs, top layer. But if you're looking for paying a capitation fee of 5 to 6 lakhs, get into, say, a B level, you'll find a lot of B schools in outskirts of Karnataka and different parts. I would say, please don't waste your money. I have seen, some of the kids I hire in Capgemini in those days, their salary, monthly salary after MBA is around 15,000-16,000 per month. They are not able to pay their educational fees. That is a kind of, and sadly, when they say they have done MBA. Okay.
And I feel MBA or any course, in fact, has to be done from a point of clarity.
Absolutely.
Like, how is this course going to assist my career or my career trajectory later on? So, or maybe you need to have a plan. I want to get into this kind of company. I want to, in 3 years or 4 years, get into a specific position, and then the MBA can actually help you. But if you are clueless, like a headless chicken, then what happens? You're running all over the place, and you're taking peanuts for actually working hard, and your parents' hard-earned money. Because in India, you are not spending your money. In fact, you're taking your parents' hard-earned money and spending it. It kind of hurts that kids just think that doing an MBA, I'll get clarity. Something big will happen. What big will happen?
Correct.
Your action has to be big for that MBA to give you something, isn't it?
No, absolutely. In fact, it is nothing but the ego satisfaction, Lalit. If you look at, last day I was discussing with one of the, one candidate came from another company. So she has done her MBA from France.
Okay.
So if you have done MBA from France, what are you doing in a medium company? In a startup she was working. So the problem is, this is where we probably have to be a little more true to ourselves, and have a clear clarity, as you rightly said, where I need to be in 5 years down the line. Okay, where exactly I need to be down the line 5 years I should be. And these days, millennials has to be very clear on that, because you have so much of advisors, so much of options. You open Insta and ask for something, you get thousands of advice, but you need to have clear clarity of what you want. And if you are able to identify that, then you have more options available there. Need to do a lot of research and, see, as I mentioned, MyLogic itself, we provide around 12 programs, international finance programs. All are highly employable programs. So people are not much aware about these programs, because it times to come, of course, they are earning this, started knowing it in a large space now. But what I'm trying to say is that, knowledge enhancement at parent level and students is still long way to go. We are trying our best to pass on to the larger audience, but it will take time, and over the time people will realize that, okay, there is much beyond an MBA.
Makes sense. And I'm so glad somebody like you is taking the initiative to actually educate people with the right kind of course, and for the students who have direction. And the courses that you're doing, I don't think anybody can just come and do it. You need to have some sort of dream, direction to do these courses, because they're not easy. But the good part about doing a not so easy course is the fruit is beautiful. Right? It's a very good, beautiful fruit, and not many people can also enjoy. Sir, I'm so happy to have this interview with you, because personally, as a teacher, as a coach myself, I get to learn perspectives that I haven't, walked in your journey. So I think you're doing a fantastic job, and wishing you all the luck, the success, and I hope God gives you the ability to change much more children's future in the near in the near coming. One last question before I let you go. What is your vision for MyLogic? Where do you see it in the next 5 to 10 years?
Any part of the world, anybody wanted to do any finance professional programs, MyLogic is there to support them. That is the aspiration, vision. We are moving towards that. Thank God, a lot of progress happened in last 1 year. We are driving towards that. As you rightly said, we intend to transform career. We are committed to it, and God bless us and the students to achieve that.
I'm sure it will happen, sir, and it's a pleasure to have you on my show. It's been great, and I'm sure the people who are watching this have a lot of takeaways as well.
Thank you, Lalit. It has been very pleasure to interact with you, and thanks for this opportunity wherein I could pass on this information to larger audience.
Thank you so much, sir.